I've been trying to avoid this topic, these people, for over a year, and I think it's time to talk about Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star, and a little bit of Trisha Paytas. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hi, my name is Zhariya Smith, and I typically make commentary videos just like this one, so if you guys happen to like that, or you just love my gorgeous face, make sure to subscribe down below and hit the notification bell to get notified every single time I post, which happens to be on Mondays and on Fridays. So I'm definitely not the first person or the last person that's going to talk about Shane Dawson on their YouTube channel. And I feel like the reason why I've avoided talking about Shane for so long is because Shane was the literal first YouTuber that I ever watched. My first YouTube video that I watched was a Shane Dawson video. I literally went onto youtube.com and the first thumbnail, first video that I saw was a Shane Dawson one. So when I say I've been a fan of Shane for many, many years, well, not anymore, obviously, but that was in like 2009. So for about a decade, I was a fan of Shane Dawson. And even in my unpopular opinions video, I talked about how I like Shane Dawson's series, because I was still a very huge fan of Shane Dawson. And I look back at that and I cringe, obviously, but it goes to show I literally have been a fan of Shane Dawson, or had been. I need to emphasize that I had been. I'm no longer a fan of him. I can guarantee you on that. But Jeffree Star, in another sense, I also was a fan of for relatively a long amount of time. I've listened to his music growing up. I know that says a lot about me as a person, but I listened to his music growing up. I would go on my mom's MySpace and I'd look at Jeffree Star stuff and then quickly, log out and all that stuff, But still, I was a fan of Jeffree. But Jeffree and Shane, to me, had always been two separate people that were never going to converge. And Trisha Paytas, I wasn't never really a fan of her, but I always just saw her, ruminating around YouTube. Trisha was obviously friends with Shane, so I saw Trisha when she was with Shane, but that was pretty much it. And to wrap this up, this little intro, is that Shane Dawson is basically getting dragged across the internet, not for racism, not for treating children inappropriately, not for misogynistic, homophobic, and other jokes. It's because Trisha Paytas was getting bullied. That's why he's getting dragged through the internet right now. So you might be asking, if you don't watch YouTube, you don't know what any of these people are. Shane Dawson is a YouTuber, author, director, actor, and also singer/songwriter. I count Super Love as a thing. So we're saying singer and songwriter as well. And I followed pretty much his entire career. So when I would see, in the summer when Shane was getting canceled, I watched Shane Dawson's movie from 2014 and it's really problematic, I watched it when it came out. Or when people were talking about The Chair. Or Shane Dawson didn't want you to see this unfiltered documentary about him. I saw it when it came out too. I literally remember going downstairs and going on the big TV and watching the new episode of The Chair that featured Shane Dawson in it, because I loved Shane Dawson that much. I've seen everything in his career, pretty much, stemming from Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. I literally saw everything growing up. And I saw basically nothing wrong with it at the time, which is what's more scary to me than anything, is that he convinced a whole bunch of children that what they were seeing was okay, and obviously I don't like making long videos. Well, I do, but I don't like editing them. So I'm not going to describe everything that Shane has done and why he is canceled. I definitely recommend watching D'Angelo Wallace's video. It has 12 million views right now. It is very long, but if you really genuinely want to know what Shane Dawson has done, put it in the background and do some chores. You will be genuinely shocked. I was shocked, and I followed him. Shane Dawson is also a self-proclaimed empath. He suffers with big insecurity, body image issues, and a whole slew of other things. And I will never forget, his whole platform was kind of, in a way, making you feel bad for him, but also it was really weird, to be honest. But like, I remember one day when I was going on to YouTube and I saw Shane upload a video and he was crying because one of his fans unfortunately passed away. And you saw that Shane had a really good like community with his fans and his friends and the little group that he had, the Shane Dawson and Friends vibe, if you will. Like, it was very impactful at the time. And the stepping stones he was building was that Shane Dawson was a person you were supposed to believe. He was the person who was always the nicest YouTuber that you've met. Even in like the mukbang that Jeffree, James, and Tana did, they're not even all friends anymore. But they said Shane Dawson was the nicest person that they've met on YouTube. Countless people say Shane Dawson is the nicest person that they've met on YouTube. So if Shane Dawson is the nicest person, why did we find out these things that he's been doing behind the scenes? Because he was building it up, you know. And now we're going to go on to the next section, which is, I feel like, the genuine downfall of Shane's career. Because you can see that Shane had been constantly called out for different things that he's done in the past. And I just saw his apologies and I was like, well, they're stupid, because he shouldn't have to apologize for doing this when obviously he did. But like I said, I was like 12, 13 at this time. But when Shane and Jeffree Star converged, a lot happened. If you don't know, Jeffree Star is a beauty guru. He has a makeup company. He invests in a lot of things. He is literally the Regina George of YouTube. And don't get mad at me for saying that. He literally tweeted that. Also, it literally describes him perfectly. So I don't want to hear it. So if you guys watched the first documentary, the first time that Jeffree and Shane genuinely met each other, you could see that Shane was very, very nervous to talk to Jeffree. He was very scared to speak to Jeffree because of how many things that he's heard about Jeffree. So the thing is how, if Jeffree is so terrifying and Jeffree is so scary, Jeffree has all of these friends who failed, Jeffree has all of these things happening, why did Shane and Jeffree become best friends? If they were so polarly different, you could make the argument that, oh, Shane wanted to fix Jeffree. But the more and more I'm looking at it, I'm realizing that Shane and Jeffree are more interchangeable than what you might think. But it was nice seeing Shane, you know, make the makeup palette, because I love makeup. Obviously, I wear makeup all the time. I have a whole collection of palettes that all need to get thrown away because they're probably all expired by now. But I'm a makeup lover. And I love that I could get something that Shane Dawson put so much effort into and say, I have something that Shane Dawson made, and it not be like Shanae merch, because I never really like Shanae, but that's a whole other thing. Or like having like his face like on my body. Like I wanted something that showed I was a Shane Dawson fan without displaying it like that, if that makes sense. And I love Jeffree Star's makeup. I have so many palettes from Jeffree. I have so many lipsticks that it's hard for me to get rid of, because they're honestly such a nice formula. But am I going to buy any more? No, we don't support Jeffree or Shane anymore. But it just goes to show, like, I was so excited to see Shane and Jeffree collab with each other and make a product. And even in my review, like, I tried being like, oh, the palette is so nice, it's so pigmented, but it was so chalky. It spilled everywhere. Like, you could just go to like, it was, I know pressed pigments are difficult to work with, but that something was different with that palette. Despite Shane and Trisha being friends for 12 years and Shane and Jeffree being friends for maybe 3 at this point, I stopped supporting Shane and Jeffree in the summer. That was my last straw, because I was like, you know what, I was being educated and I realized some stuff that I was experiencing, some stuff that I was seeing was genuinely bad that they were doing. So I decided to stop supporting them. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, I'm just saying you should at least be educated, because I'm educated now and I do not want to support them anymore. And the thing is that during the summer, they're getting exposed for racism. Shane with being weird near children. There's a video of Shane and Trevi and Trisha that recently got re-uploaded that was disgusting. And all of the stuff that he's done, including racism. Jeffree as well. And that wasn't enough for people to stop supporting them. Like, literally that clip that's like, I can excuse racism, but I draw the line at animal cruelty, but it's like, but I draw the line at bullying Trisha Paytas. Either way, this is the next section of the video. I titled it, I can excuse racism, but dot dot dot. I don't know if that was kind of funny. The thing that bothers me the most about the situation is that Shane and Jeffree were literally exposed for being blatantly racist in text messages, tweets, videos, so many things. And you could say that, oh, well, back then when they said it, it was okay. Like, it wasn't like people are so sensitive now. And that it was okay to make those jokes then. The jokes were always racist. The things I said were always racist. It's just it was more openly acceptable to be racist. Not that it wasn't as bad. It's just people started speaking up about the fact things were being racist. It's not that it was better then. It's not that it wasn't racist then. It was. It's just that being racist was more accepted then than it is now. Rightfully so. Regardless, on the topic of that, for a while I looked past Shane being racist and Jeffree being racist because I didn't even know that it was. Like, I am a Floridian. I've grown up in Florida the majority of my life, and I experience racism all the time. I didn't even realize that it was that, like 24/7. So of course when I see Shane say the N-word in a video, I'm not going to be like, oh, that's racist because my teachers were saying it. My friends at the time were saying it. So why would I think like, oh, this is a bad word? I just thought it was a curse word. I didn't know it was like a slur, you know? Like I would watch parody movies and TV shows like The Office had blackface in it, and I would think, oh, that's funny. Not, oh, that's racist, you know? I just assumed that things weren't racist because of how I grew up and where I am, and that's in no way excusing other people's actions. It's just like really mind-blowing looking back at it now, as a more educated person. And obviously I need to be more educated on things, but as the level that I am now, like it's very interesting to see these things come to light. My main thing is just like, it sucks that as young people of color in general, we have to experience these traumas. We have to experience these things. But our more privileged classmates, peers, they have to learn about it. When we learn about the Civil War in like 7th grade, you know, it's just like, wow, it sucks. America is not a vibe right now. But I have a whole library of Shane and Jeffree being, you know, how they are. And any person can literally go and Google Shane Dawson racist, Jeffree Star racist, and they can find a lot of stuff really quickly. Too easily, to be honest. Despite all of these things, people decided that Trisha Paytas was the last straw. And I think that's my issue with the situation. It's not that there's anything wrong with Trisha. Well, that's another video. But my issue is that people decided that being that heinous towards marginalized groups of people, that wasn't enough to stop supporting the two of them, which is why I call this section I Can't Excuse Racism. But you know, either way, let's get into the Trisha situation. I in no way, this video is, you know, how it is, but I in no way want to minimize what Trisha has gone through, what she continues to go through. I listened to the whole Frenemies podcast, start to finish, about her situation with Shane and Jeffree. I've seen countless interviews, countless videos. I have a grasp of the situation, and it's horrific. It's horrible. No person should have to go through something like that. But the whole situation, in my opinion, just boils down to regular high school drama, just in the scale of having money. I'm going to describe it. This may seem really harsh, so I'm going to describe the situation like simplified down in summary. It's basically, she's been friends with Shane Dawson for 12 years. Throughout this time, Shane has said things behind her back. He's called her a pathological liar, has said many things about her, and Trisha never knew about this. Then, Trisha went to Vegas with Jeffree and his friends, you know, rich people things, and she was being mistreated on the trip. She was called, you know, poor, saying she had bad skin, making comments about her body image and multiple other things, and they said this to her face. So much to the point where she had to leave the trip and was crying, like in tears from how horribly they were treating her. Is it right? No. But the issue is that Shane and his fiance Ryland decided to still be friends with Jeffree and decided to still promote Jeffree despite knowing what he did to her and what his friends did to her. And to be honest, that was my problem 95% of high school, was dealing with people doing horrible things to me, then my friends still being friends with those people just because they didn't do anything to them. It's like, oh, like if I get shot in the foot, like, are you gonna still be friends with the person that shot me in the foot because they didn't shoot you? That's dumb. But that aside, that is the situation essentially. Now it's obviously deeper than that. You can go to any tea channel, any drama channel, they'll be glad to tell you what happened. It's traumatizing and it's horrible that Trisha was mistreated the way that she was on the scale that she was. But it just sucks that this situation is bad in itself. And why are people using this situation as the last straw? Like, it makes no sense to me. Trisha deserves reparations. She deserves, like, to be avenged. Because what happened to her is horrible. But how can a person, I'm about to cry, how can a person witness what happened in the summertime and be like, yeah, I'm gonna still support them, but now be like, I'm not gonna support him anymore because he bullied Trisha Paytas? Do you see the issue here? Like, she was being it's so baffling to me. I really do hope that Trisha gets the peace that she wants, the inner healing that she needs from the situation, because it's horrible. And I do hope that people finally start realizing that Shane and Jeffree are not people you should be supporting. But it just sucks. You know, I really do hope Trisha finds peace and healing and finds good friend group, finds good people to surround herself with, because it's really horrible. Like, 12 years of friendship was just thrown down the drain, arguably because of money and fame and all of that stuff, you know. But now let's get into my final thoughts. This video is getting very long, I know, but basically, like I said, I really hope that Trisha finds some sort of inner peace. And I really do hope that this is the last straw, because if racism wasn't enough and Trisha isn't enough, like, you just must really stand them. Why? I don't know. Jeffree's makeup is, like, okay, but, like, I could, if I wanted to spend the money, I could just find a different makeup brand, which I will. I've been trying out new stuff, but, like, I can find a different makeup brand to buy makeup from. I can watch a different YouTuber's documentaries. I can, you know, there are so many beauty gurus on the internet. I can just watch one of them. That isn't problematic, you know. I don't have to be forced to watch people who aren't ideal candidates for my money, because that's what you're doing when you watch their videos. You're giving them money. Yeah. I guess that's my video. I hope you guys liked it, and if you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and make sure to comment down below. Please let me know if I seem a little bit harsh when it comes to Trisha. I in no means want to be harsh towards her. She's been through a lot. And obviously I made my whole video about Trisha and being a marketing genius and all that stuff, but this situation genuinely really sucks. So definitely leave your comments down below and let me know. You can also comment on a post I'm going to be making on my community page, because I have a community tab now because I have over 1,000 subscribers. It's so crazy, right? But either way, make sure to stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.